What made you instantly realize this friend is not a real friend? They never reach out to me first unless they need something. I'm a 55M and recently a 55F friend I've been friends with since middle school. She kept popping me into voicemail and wouldn't return calls. Wouldn't return my text messages. Finally, I left her a text that I was done with the one-sided friendship. She left me a voicemail asking me to forgive her. She had been going through a lot of stuff. I did, and she has been back to being a good friend. She lives down south now, so I only see her once a year when she comes here for family reunions. Just a friend, always has been, nothing more. Riding in my best friend's car, in our early 20s, telling her about how my relationship with my mother was becoming so toxic and crumbling before my eyes, she interrupted me to ask that I be quiet during her favorite part of the song that was on the radio. When that part was finished, she told me I could resume my story. I was pouring my heart out. I was young and devastated, and even then I knew that was a really messed up thing to do, and it instantly changed the way I viewed her as a friend. We were going on 7 years of close friendship, and it was finished in that one car ride. I've had a few. Some friends just talk at you all about themselves for hours, then right as you're getting up to leave they finally ask after you as an afterthought. Talking to my ex-boyfriend behind my back, bitching about how annoying I am when I was off work with a breakdown and she was screenshotting my messages to her and sending them to him. Telling other people about my mental health when I expressly told them not to. Never reaching out to me asking anything about me. When I stopped reaching out to them or offering any info on my life, I never saw them again. When he would only take and never even offer to give back. Always with the "I left my money at home, but he'll totally pay you back." Never paid anything back, ever. Other friends and I would call him out on it, but there was always an excuse. Eventually he screwed over another mate at a gig they went to. Only thing he paid for was a drink. Had another mate even pay for his ticket, and with some BS reason, so we all collectively decided we don't need or want him around anyway. He's barely made an attempt to keep in touch in 10 years and we certainly haven't. Only hit me up when they needed something. Was a roommate, didn't give me any bill money, because they were waiting on unemployment. So I went through their mail from unemployment one day. Turns out they had been getting paid for months. This was confirmed by mutual friends, and his girlfriend. I moved out and shut all the utilities off that were in my name. Went back to get a few things and they looked at like they wanted to kill me. Sorry to end your free ride. We have been friends for 25 years. Haven't talked to them since. That was 2020. Called me only when they needed me and were never there to support me the way I had for them. Just got tired of cleaning up messes I didn't really have to be a part of anymore. Always felt like I was bothering them even though we barely texted. Hanging out in person finally? Great, like we never left. Outside of hanging out, no. I'd reach out to them and get no answer only to find they were on Ig and FB. And I always started the conversation starring them and only talked about myself when they thought to ask. Just exhausting. I've always been that kind of friend who is always there for other people. Even if they call me up at 3:00 a.m. in the middle of a snowstorm to come pick them up. I've always been reliable. But then I realized when I finally needed something, even when it wasn't a big something, and they were never available and always had an excuse and always ignored me and could never be bothered to lift a finger, but yet had no issues constantly asking me for favors. That's no friend. Friend warned me that friend B was openly disrespectful, even hostile when speaking of me when I wasn't around. They got into an argument. Friend B sent me screenshots of their conversation to get me on their side, but there seemed to be whole sentences missing. When I asked for clarification, they called me Dom. Friend A showed me all the missing messages where they called me much worse than just Dom. Friend B lost 2 great friends for good after that. My best friend for years threw a party and trashed my house while my family were on vacation. She also stole my vape, gave her friends my clothes and swimsuits, and took my car for multiple joyrides. Then once people start hearing about it, she goes around telling everyone how sorry she is and how horrible she feels, how she is so scared she will lose me as a friend. I never heard anything from her other than I didn't do anything wrong. I should have realized when their mom told me that they tend to get into fights and ignore friends for a bit before coming back to them often after the second time they did that. It didn't hit until after a period of not talking they had moved quite suddenly. I was giving them space, was waiting on a reply to a text I saw them posting on Facebook about their new college friends. One of them had the same name as me. I knew I had been replaced. My friends in high school added me to a Discord chat. Since it was a pre-existing chat on a server I had been in for a while, it showed all of the previous messages as unread. One of the very first messages was, "God, the hot topical is so annoying, she'd be much easier to deal with if I were high." That was the beginning of the end of my friendship with that whole friend group, as I increasingly realized they were more my bullies than anything else. She gave me an ultimatum on either her or my other best friend who she got into a fist fight with. I told her I can't pick and wanted to stay neutral. She removed me from her wedding list and bad-mouthed me to my girlfriend and other friends of mine. She even tried to get my girlfriend to use the money I saved for the trip to said wedding to go without me. When my girlfriend said no, she went more nuts until my girlfriend blocked her. At lunch, she was sitting with her boyfriend, I was sitting with our friend's circle. She came up to me, guilted me into sitting with her and her boyfriend, and then proceeded to ignore me for the rest of lunch. She didn't care about me, she just didn't want me talking to the friend circle that she had abandoned for her boyfriend. When I pointed this out to her, she called me a jealous bitch. Ah, high school. How I don't miss thee! Had a serious family emergency and had to dip out of a planned event I was at. Found out after I left, my extremely close friend and mutual acquaintances were talking shit about me behind my back for having to go bury a family member. All of them reach out to me yearly and send me friend requests and DMs asking why I no longer associate with them. Yeah. Instant adjustment of who was important to me was made when I found out we were friends before we started working together, and then they quit without giving me a heads up. To be fair, they've been going through a lot, but I thought we were at least close enough that they'd tell me at least a day or two ahead of time. I've reached out since then and gotten excuses instead of plans that they said they wanted to make, so I'm not going to try beyond that. They know where I am if they want to connect. We were on a school trip for 5 days and they were the only person I could talk to. I didn't have any other friends there. No matter how much I tried to talk to them, they would give me the shortest answer possible and would walk away and talk to another person. I remember crying in the bathroom with my plushie in my arms. I was in 6th grade and I still sleep that plushie, so no hate because no one would talk to me. When I realized that after bonding for 7 fucking years in school, my best friend just up and ghosted me. Gave him a home and family and even more friends. I tried reaching out to him a few times to try and convince him to talk with us again. Silence. It was a very eye-opening moment of clarity that helps me realize that everyone I ever meet will be temporary and I should adjust my expectations accordingly. When they made constant demands of me no matter what I was dealing with on my own, as I was barely functioning with no consideration for that, and at the same time being unable to be happy for or ever celebrate any milestones or achievements in the progress that I did make. Thinking that I expected them to live up to my own expectations for my own life and calling me a narcissist for all of it. My childhood best friend told me she was pregnant 4 days before I had to terminate a very winter pregnancy. I was 7 months pregnant. My baby girl had an incurable heart defect. My friend knew it. She knew I was gonna give birth to a stillborn in 4 days' time. She was barely 3 months pregnant. She could have waited at least a few weeks. I will never forget the pain it caused, the way in which I always discredited what I said or simply wanted to improve what I did, no matter how small it was. I also noticed sometimes that when I was with my partner I would start acting naive and thank him, trying to make me look ridiculous. Saying personal things of mine to embarrass me. That was the straw that broke the camel's back and the friendship died there. My oldest friend never supported me in any big decisions and they always made me become more successful in life. Last big decision I took was also the last time we spoke, back in the end of 2018. Haven't spoken since, and I have moved away from my native country, which makes this a lot easier to stay away from this destructive relation with my former best friend. When they blocked me on every single social media platform and also blocked my phone number completely out of the blue, no argument, no reason to think anything was wrong, nothing. It's been almost 2 years and it still hurts sometimes. This happened months before I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in their wedding. Sucks that I'll never get an explanation. Went to pick up my Xbox 360 a friend was borrowing, and our whole group of friends were there. They had spent the entire day playing games with snacks and pizza, and I had not been invited. And now I was in the situation of being the douche who takes the ball home and ruins the fun for everyone. I took my Xbox and never spoke to anyone in that group again. When I was babysitting her kids, things were going great. We would hang out all the movie nights and just talk and chill. But the second she no longer needed a babysitter was the second I got kicked to the curb. No even a text back. Some people will act like your best friend until they no longer need you. They're lost though. Tried to hang out with them often but always declined. But every time they do want to hang out it involves fixing something, help them move stuff, and once that's done it's thanks, see you, I have stuff to do. You might be friends with them, but they are not friends with you. You're just the only one available to do something for them when they won't sacrifice equally over an extended period of friendship. Like they won't travel to you but expect it back, won't call to make plans but is okay doing so when you do it, speaks to you in ways that are disrespectful but it isn't done to all friends, just some, or one if you're a guy they'll make sense, targeted roasting, etc. When I came back on mic and she was discussing my body and comparing herself to me with another one of my friends. It turned into this weird jealous thing where she would constantly want to talk about looks, and reminded me of a middle school friend who also started to become oddly involved in my body too. Both friendships ended, helping someone who is never thankful for what you do for them, and always plays the victim. You can't help a person who refuses to blames everyone else for their problems. Had a friend who is tragedy dumped all the time. Then she wonders why nobody wants to hang with her anymore. Do the math, sister. When my wife cheated on me with his girlfriend and he said I should have seen it coming. They knew I was not okay being poly, but apparently he always had a thing for my wife, and so when the opportunity presented itself he was cool with them dating and her divorcing me. Also, he was the best man at my wedding when he told me to choose between him and my girlfriend. They only once crossed paths and he decided she was no good for me and that we should end our friendship of 6 years if I would not dump her immediately. Tried to tell him how childish and disrespectful he was, but he didn't want to hear my opinion.